Hi, Bermet.
Hi, Josh.
As you know, we're here to talk about some of the study skills and way you studied during your time at CPS and even now. I'm just wondering, where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in my hometown, Taras. It is in the south of Kazakhstan.
And how did your study methods change from high school to your time on CPS?
From high school to CPS, study methods have changed a lot, if not say completely. These small differences form two absolutely divergent systems. For example, at university we have a system of tutors. Tutors, people who help us and guide throughout all educational process. And I would say the tutoring system is absolutely different from a system of teachers we have at schools. I would say that university makes you to study on yourself. University program requires you to be occupied by self-education, which means that if at school materials that were taught during the lessons were enough, at university it is not enough. You have to study always something additional. And also university makes you to be versatile. It means that you have to know everything from different areas of knowledge. And I would give an example from my last year. At CPS we had an unseen written exam, as you know, and topic of the exam was unknown. So you just came and maybe you will know anything on this topic. But at that time I was reading newspapers and articles from magazines in our library, and I have read some interesting article in Scientific American about malnutrition. And when I came to exam, I saw that the topic of exam unseen was exactly food scarcity, and it was very suddenly, but I was pleased that some information that I was reading just for fun helped me during my studying.
Now, Bermet, did you go and find the Scientific American on your own, or did your teacher tell you to read that?
During the lessons we were taught how to read these articles from magazines, and I understood that it is a very useful skill because it enhances reading skills and also writing skills. It helps you to acquire new vocabulary. That's why I was just every day trying to read something from these articles.
Okay, so when the teacher gives you instructions, homework, or draft feedback that you don't fully understand, what do you do?
I think you can get help from teacher. There are several ways to do that. For example, you can just ask during the lesson, or maybe just write an email to your teacher, or you will have also tutorials during which you can ask all your questions. You may just make some notes and ask during the tutorials.
So, if you were writing your instructor an email with a draft, asking him or her to look at your draft, what would you make sure to include in the email?
Oh, it is very important to write clear and precise emails, because sometimes people just write emails and without topic, and you don't understand what it is for, and you don't know person writing to you. That's why it always should be clear. You should include topic of your email. If you include some files, you should also name them clearly. For example, include your name. What is this work about? Also, do not forget about clear greeting and some close, for example, regards.
Right.
Like that. And also just include several sentences writing what is this email for, and introducing yourself.
You mentioned, Bermet, you mentioned the tutorials and the value of the individual tutorials. How did you use these compulsory EAP tutorials for your benefit?
Oh, tutorials were very important, especially at the beginning. Because for the beginning you don't understand what is happening around you, you don't understand a lot of things during the lessons. That's why it was very important that you can clarify everything during the tutorials. And I always try to ask some advices from teacher, how can I improve my study skills, ask some evaluation of my work, and also I tried to get some maybe additional tasks so I can improve my level of English.
Okay. Now, you know, at university, there are certain times of the year where you have many assignments at the same time, many deadlines. When you have a lot of assignments at the same time, what are your study strategies to meet all these competing deadlines?
Yes, it's not surprising that at least once a semester we have a week where we have to submit about 5 or 6 assignments. And for the beginning it was really tragedy for us because we couldn't handle with the deadlines. but now we have used to that because we know like some secrets of how to do with these deadlines. First of all, you should know how to prioritize these deadlines. For example, if you have essay for tomorrow, you should not write something that like coursework which you have to submit a week after. And also it is useful to make some kind of schedule of what you will do and on what day. And this helps you to manage your time properly. And also motivation is very important. You may ask your friend to evaluate your work, to look at it, to check it. Also during when we were writing research project, we were like competing who will write more words in one day, and by the end of the reading week I had practically all my work written, and it really helped.
So you mentioned that you had a little competition with your friends or somebody about how many words you would write in a day during a deadline. Could you tell me more about that?
Yes, it was like competition. We just see.
How many people?
2 or 3 people, I think.
Okay, so small group?
Yes, just small group of my friends. We were just competing who will write, for example. For today we need to write 500 words, and by 6 o'clock it should be ready, or we should write 2 paragraphs. And who doesn't write will buy for us chocolate, for example. And it was really challenging, and it helped me because even if I will not write 500 words, I will write 400. And maybe I will lose some chocolates, but it helped to write me a research project.
Did you end up buying lots of chocolates?
No, actually I was always winning.
Somehow I expected that. Did you have a note-taking system and keep a tutorial folder while at CPS?
I didn't have and still don't have any special note-taking system. However, I always try to use hymns to represent information, because hymns clearly show relationship between sentences, and they are easy to visually like look at them and revise the information. Also, I try to use bullet points, because bullet points, they don't require much place, but they also are very clear and precise, and they like clearly show what you want to write, and also keywords are always enough to remember everything you need to know. And about tutorial folder, I also kept tutorial folder because in this tutorial folder I could save all information which was given to us during the lectures, and all handouts were in one place. So when I need them, I could easily take it out and look at it. For example, when I was writing essays, I was always looking at handouts with which were explaining how to write each part of the essay. For example, how to write introduction, how to write conclusion, and also I always used a student handbook where it was written how to make clear references and how to make them correct.
How often did you use your student handbook?
Student handbook, I think always, because I was like calculating what grade I want to achieve, what will be my grade if I will write these. Also, I looked at references. Also, there are a lot of information useful for students, and I think it's very useful.
Okay, well, it's really interesting because I remember you came onto the course with quite relatively low scores in IELTS and the subjects, but you ended the course with distinction level, with absolute excellence. I was wondering how you did that.
Actually, it was surprising even for me. I think because you have to work always, you have to. I knew that my English is not as good as it should be. Also, I knew that my disadvantages were like writing, listening. I had better reading, but my writing was very low. So I had to always practice it, and I think everything is achieved through practice.
Through practice,
yes.
and continuous effort. What about critical thinking? I've heard this word a lot. How do you define that?
Critical thinking, I would say that it is type of thinking when you look at the root of the problem and you try to analyze all the aspects which are associated with this problem. And critical thinking teaches us how to make conclusions from the information and how to find out implications of this information. So it is not the skill that you have, but it is a skill that can be achieved and that can be acquired through practice.
Do any of the critical thinking skills that you mentioned, are they still important now that you're in the UCL faculties?
Yes, critical thinking, I would say it's very important. In order to solve problems, you have to look at them critically and try to analyze and find out how they can be solved, what is the problem actually, to what consequences does it lead. So I think critical thinking is very important.
What would you think? Do you think reflection is important to get a good grade?
I think yes. I think critical thinking is impossible without reflection, because person always should be able to analyze his previous errors and find out ways to handle with his problems, to solve his problems he had, and to make some progress. That's why I think that it is important to reflect on your work, to see what errors you have made and how to improve and how to do better further.
Okay, well, Bermet, I just have one more question for you. It's about motivation. In your opinion, do the best students push the teacher, or do they wait for the teacher to push them?
I think motivation should come from the student, because nobody will help you except you want to help yourself. That's why maybe, of course, teacher will help you to do your work, will give some advices, but at least you should want to do something, and you will achieve success only in case you do something on yourself.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.